Yeah, I don't think I can.
Why not?
And what's important in my mind in this is that it's not judgmental.
Mm.
Whereas some people might just use it as a strategy for change, I think it's being more honest. This is the validation piece. I think what makes it work, what makes it safe. That's better. Is what makes it safe is that it's a genuine response to seeing someone else's blocked experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say, Helene, you just, there's just, like you're writing your dissertation and you're writing your research project up and you get blocked at some point, and so there's just no way that you can finish at this moment. It's like you can't find the words, like this is so hard, right?
Then I start feeling it, yeah.
Yeah, I know, because I'm writing stuff right now. It's like, if I said, what's that like for you? Like all of a sudden you're not alone in the block, right? But the focus isn't on the fear, although it is. I mean, I think it starts with seeing the block, honoring the block, and then appealing. I mean, this is the conjecture part. But this would be really, right? The one thing that you most need, you can't do, right? It's a 1-2 punch, really. It's saying, on the one hand, I see where you're stuck, and on the other hand, I see how much you need this. And that's a classic conjecture. So part of you's like this, and part of you's like this. Both are true. Let's see it. Let's understand it. Let's work with that. And to me, that's like where congruence comes in. It's like somebody has to work through the two parts of themselves that are stuck in this moment, make sense of it. And as they make sense of it, they get more agency. If they get more agency, they can do it.
Yes.
If I understand my fear, I can work with my fear. It's like I get a resource. And the resource is also interpersonal, right? So, and I think it roots itself deep in the expectancies of the internal working model, right? Because that's what you're playing up against.
Right.
The fears are not just the fears in the moment. The fears are the fears of the attachment history rooted in the kind of expectancies I have when it comes to, am I lovable or are other people trustworthy?
Yes. Yes.
So that's where EFT's goal is that we use emotional experience to retrain, rewire, reorient, revisit, renew the assumptions people have about themselves and their world.
That's right.
But it's a very specific moment, so it's a very specific intervention. So people who say that we seed attachment all the time just don't understand it.
I was one of them just from having this conversation. I would tell you I'm seeding attachment all the time. I mean, from the minute they're stepping through that door, I'm seeding. But I think this is so helpful because this is, by the way, your number 4 interviewee, and I'm doing 9. So it's kind of so rich. It's kind of fleshing out.
Part of it, yeah.
And what I'm really getting this theme of is that it's a specific moment. It's a moment that you're applying this.
Right. And that's where I would say if you want to come to conceptual clarity, you need to distinguish, like, you've got, like, the interventions, like, this is what the therapist is doing in the process. This is a particular kind of move that happens in the process, not a general move that is used throughout. So to me, then, like, how do you understand that? Well, okay, so, yes, when is an EFT therapist using attachment language? When is an EFT therapist using attachment emotion? When is a EFT therapist sharing attachment, having people share attachment? All through the model.
That's right.
Right? It's the work that we're doing. How do they do that? Well, they do that with validation. They do that with reflecting underlying emotions. They do that with empathic conjectures and heightening. But the more that they do that, they're building toward
this moment.
And so when you look at what the EFT therapist has in their toolbox, of interventions, they've got this kind of very particular way of saying to someone who's blocked, yeah, you can't do this.
Mm.
You don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is not just you don't want to turn to your partner. It's you don't want to, you could never let them in. There's this part of you that says, I'm so unworthy.
Mm-hmm.
No one would love me. No one would really see me for who I am. You could never say that to them, could you?
Mm.
Right. Now, validation. Right. Right. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
That makes so much sense. This has been the story of your life. So why would it change in this relationship with your partner sitting here saying they want nothing more than to hold you in their arms, right?
Mm.
Never let that happen, right?
Mm.
Help me understand it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the expanding of it.
Yeah. So it is about like laying down that language and also framing. There's a lot of things going on in that intervention, I think. But its purpose is really conjecture. It's like, right, have I got you right? Do I see this right? Am I seeing this with you? Right? Because it's not like I jump over to the other side and say, please believe him. Please believe her. She's really here for you. Don't you see that? Don't you see that? Don't you see them? No, the focus is on the in this case, like if we're talking blame or softening, it's on the more critical partner. Mm-hmm. It's not the focus is on you doing this. It's not on them responding back.
Yes, it's about you and being on the leading edge of your fear.
It's not persuasion.
No, it's not persuasion.
It's not trying to convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It's actually trying to really push into as close as you can in some ways in like a very almost confrontive way.
Mm-hmm. That's
right.
So helpful. I mean, it's funny, I've just listened to you and I have my prompt, some of the questions, and I'm just looking as you're speaking and I've just noticed that for the first part of it, you've answered the questions I would have asked if you hadn't said the things you said. It's like,
well,
when do you intervene? When do you know to go in? What is it you're looking for? I mean, you've answered all that. So the only thing I would want to ask is that I've just scanned the questions is that I can see has some answers. How do you know when your seeding is landing or not with that intervent? What you're doing how do you know if you're on track with the seeding? Do you have a sense? Like, how do you know?
Well, the general response to that is if I see the client exit.
Mm.
Like if you were seeding attachment with me and you said, Jim, you can never turn to Louise and say, you're so afraid really to put yourself in her arms. You could never say, could you please hold me? Because I'm hurting so badly. You can never do that. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, I don't really get that. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I don't think that's me. Right. Like, or if I was even more kind of cranky, I might say something like, are you trying to get me to do something? Because I don't really like that. I don't like the way you said that.
So they don't go with you into the fear, right? They just
the never part is the trigger. It's like, what? Mm-hmm. Are you saying, yeah, I could do it. I don't want to do it. I don't think that's not really who I am. You're asking me to be somebody I'm not.
Right, but we do come up against that, right?
No, absolutely. Right. People exit all the time.